Okay, Holly, you wanted your birth story. So here it is. It's the best I can recollect it. I hope it's pretty much factual. It was a pretty special event in my life for sure. Actually, the most important event in my life up to that time until I had your brother. So anyway, your dad and I were living in Stanton, Virginia, and we had been married about 4.5 years. And I was starting to get that I want a baby itch. My biological clock must have been ticking like crazy because all of a sudden I just wanted a baby. And it didn't take long for your dad to get on board. He was happy to have fun with that, trying. And it didn't take long before I was pretty sure that I was pregnant. In fact, I think I thought at the time that I knew when you were conceived. I felt different. I just felt different. But anyway, I I waited the requisite time and I got, the pregnancy test at the drugstore. And lo and behold, it was negative. And I was devastated. I couldn't believe that I wasn't pregnant. I was so sure I was pregnant with you. So I waited, I don't know, another week or two maybe. And in the meantime, it was getting on to be March, and Easter was coming, and mom and dad, my parents, my mom and papa, were coming to visit for Easter. So we had a couple of things happen during that time. There was a terrible ice storm, and uh, I remember I woke up one morning and the power was out and it was really quiet. And we lived in an old, Stanton was an old town with big old trees. And you could hear this terrific noise of the branches breaking off from the weight of the ice and crashing to the street and to the ground. It was terrible and amazing all at the same time. So we eventually got up and put our coats on and went outside and walked around and just looked at the terrible devastation. It was so sad to see all these giant pieces of trees that had come down from the ice storm. But nevertheless, things warmed up, the ice melted, and mom made a wonderful Easter dinner. It was, I think it was lamb, which I love. And I remember um, opening a drawer in the kitchen and I got this waft of smell of the lamb and I got so nauseated. And I was sure that was it. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm pregnant. I know it. So I took another test and I did turn out pregnant. So that was a very happy, happy time for us. I went to see an OBGYN group in Waynesboro, which is 15 miles from Stanton, because they were highly recommended by my friends. There were 3 doctors in the practice. 2 of them were great. One of them was not so great. And so, I had a fairly uneventful pregnancy. Your dad was still working at the radio station, and I was working at Stanton Fabrics until I was about 6 months along. And my ankles started to swell, and I was just done with that job. So I left that job and continued on with the pregnancy. You were due November 29th, 1978. And that day came and went. And we, of course, were thinking, oh, well, it'll, be another few days or a week. Mm-mm. No, you just didn't come and you didn't come and you didn't come. And of course, we didn't know if you were a girl or a boy. And so finally, we did things to try to bring, to bring labor on. Like when we were looking for a Christmas tree, we took the off the beaten path and went through the woods, over this dry creek bed, bouncing along. I'm like, go faster, go faster. I was just doing anything to try to get labor started. we took birthing classes and did the breathing and the Lamaze and all that stuff too. Your dad wasn't crazy about that. I had to beg him to practice with me. But anyway, it was getting close to Christmas, and I was really, really starting to get down because you hadn't come along, and I knew we wouldn't be going back to Pittsburgh for Christmas, and I would be without my family for the first time ever in my life. But that's life, So finally, on the 23rd of December, your dad was doing a remote broadcast at a bar. I think it was a bar. And he didn't come home till like 2 o'clock in the morning, till after the bar closed. And I was in bed sleeping. And he got into bed. And shortly thereafter, my water broke. So he did not get any sleep. I tried to let him sleep until, morning, but I was scared and antsy, and the hospital was 15 miles away. So finally, I said, we got to go. My contractions are however many minutes apart they were. And so we took off. We packed up my little kit bag and we went to the hospital. And I got settled into a room and they checked me out, and I was hardly dilated. I mean, hardly anything. So at that point, your dad realized that he had forgotten his insulin. And so he went home to get his insulin and left me there for about, I don't know, 45 minutes or an hour, without him, which was not great. But anyway, and, I have to say the breathing exercises I just don't think they helped at all. So, yeah, the labor got really, really hard, and I wasn't progressing. Nothing was happening. They put a monitor on my belly, and then the third doctor of the practice, was on duty, and he came in, and he checked me, and he said, "You're only 3 centimeters. We're gonna have to section you." And he turned around and walked out, and I was devastated. It was like somebody had slapped me across the face. So anyway, they took me into the operating room. So it was a good thing that they put the monitor on me and decided it was time to have a C-section, because you were starting to be in distress. I'd been in labor for 18 hours, back labor, thrown up. I was in misery, and you weren't coming. So they took me into the operating room, and they prepped me, and your dad gowned up, and he was there beside me, and they cut me open, and they pulled out my beautiful baby girl. I got a girl. I wanted a girl really secretly at that point. And you were 8 pounds, 12 and a half ounces, and you were healthy and beautiful. And your dad and I cried, and we hugged and we kissed. It was a really special bonding moment for us. And the best of all, it was Christmas Eve, December 24th, 1978. The best gift that I ever got. It was pretty amazing. You knew when it was time to come. You knew. So I stayed in the hospital for 7 days, and you got a high bilirubin. They had to put you under the Billy lights, and they put patches on your eyes, and it was really scary. But, the thing I didn't like is they kept the patches on your eyes when they bring you into the room and for me to nurse you. And of course, I couldn't look at your eyes and bond with you because you had patches on your eyes. But anyway, my milk came in, and you did get less yellow, and they were able to take you off of the Billy lights, and then it was time to go home. And I remember they brought you into the room, and they said, "Okay, it's time to dress your baby." And I'm like, "Oh man, I don't know how to do that." So we struggled our way through and figured it out, and got you home, got you settled in your room, and mom and dad came for a week and helped to take care of us and you. It was pretty amazing. So I just hope that you're happy hearing your birth story, Holly. And I just want to tell you what an amazing woman you are and how proud I am of you and what you're doing in your life. You're raising two incredible boys, and you've made an amazing, meaningful spiritual life for yourself and your family. And I hope you continue to have that for the rest of your time on this earth. And I want to thank you for choosing me as your mother. I have to tell you, I look up to you. Um, and I also want to say, aren't we lucky that we are women and that we get to carry and birth children and nurture them? Men don't get that part of it. They get the nurturing, yeah, if they choose to, but it's really an amazing experience to have a child and nurse them and take care of them. And aren't we so lucky? So there it is. I hope it's good. And I love you very much. Okay. Bye.